Morning.
Morning, Mrs. Nunez-Tesheira. Thank you for joining us. Apologies for my poor communication earlier on.
Well, it might be my misunderstanding too, so no harm done.
Not a problem. Thank you for joining us this morning. First of all, congratulations on your joining this new party. Tell us about why you decided to join the party. But we know you've had issues with the PNM for a while, so you resigned from the PNM last week and joined HOPE, the party led in an interim manner by Timothy Hammersmith. How come now? How come HOPE?
Well, I don't know about. You said I have issues with the party. I would rephrase it. I have issues because it looks as though I'm trying to fight the party, which is not the case. My concern comes from a national perspective, and my concern is that the government, which is we are being governed by the PNM party, of which I was a member until recently, has consistently, as I've used the example of the battered wife syndrome, spouse you could use, or coercive control. Either way, I feel that we have gone through so many back to back conduct on behalf of the leadership and the party and the government, I should say the government, that I simply could no longer stay there. I just simply could no longer stay there. So it was not done in haste. It was something that I was marinating for some while, and it reached a point, I think, with the local government decision from the Privy Council and a number of other things. There's always a tipping point for everything, and I think that was the tipping point. And HOPE, to me, was the only alternative because it's acronym. I mean, it's not an acronym, it's HOPE. You can interpret it as you want, but it does say it stands for honest government. And I don't think there's any other.
When you use the analogy of battered wife syndrome or coercive control, it suggests that the electorate who have chosen the PNM in 2015 and 2020 and basically retain the status quo in local government election 2023 is incapable of making a decision about their future when they cast that vote for the PNM, as opposed to, well, they're being abused and they're not able to make a decision. Could you reconcile that from? Because it suggests that, well, the electorate don't know what they want.
No, I wouldn't say that. You can use that.
In a right situation, people, for one reason or another, are unable to leave that unfortunate situation when people may be just making a vote that they want.
Okay, so then people might say, what's wrong with people in Trumpians in America? What's wrong with them? How could they support a person who has come out openly and said, if he walked down, I think, one of the main streets in Manhattan and shot a man, he would get away with it? I mean, if you want to start going down that road as to why people make their decisions, it's perhaps people like myself and other people who would stand in the middle. It's up to those to hear and to listen and to discard or regard. And why I use the example of the battered wife syndrome, and in England actually it's now called coercive control. It's recognized. A person who goes through that believes that the person to who is doing this for their protection and out of care for them, and they are seduced into believing that until they reach a point where they look at all the actions and they see those actions could not be in their interest, and then they feel a sense of hopelessness, helplessness, and cynicism. And I think the results of the low turnout of the local government elections, and actually when you look at the average of 30.4, because I went and checked it and I looked at it even for 2016, where it was 34%, and then in 2019, 34%. When I looked at the municipal corporations, do you know the voting numbers, the percentage was extremely low in PNM controlled corporations, whereas the numbers were very high in voting in the UNC controlled corporation. So I can't look at the local government. They got the popular vote anyhow, and we know that. So to say that if the people were able to vote, each person able to give a vote, the PNM would not have won many of those seats, and that is the reality. And to come back to the analogy that I have made, I can give you several examples, and that's my decision why I felt having been in cabinet and knowing many of the players, let's start. Local government election. You had the Privy Council condemning the conduct of the government and saying this is not consistent with um, democratic republic. You had the whole issue with Nelson Gate, where the DPP had to drop the any pursuit of any charges against him because he now is even now suing the first attorney general, who's then saying he took advice. You get instructions from your client. Three, attorney general number 2 in the Miami court. How embarrassing for us, both in the lower and the upper court. I mean, saying basically he did not speak the truth on a witness statement, which is like evidence in chief. The decision in the Brent Thomas case with the High Court judge, which has gone to appeal, said it amounted to an abduction because it was using an airplane, facility that belonged to the national our state. Then we have the DPP crying out for how many years for staff? 57 members in his staff when he has been asking for 134, not given that. You have the Prime Minister, the head of the National Security Council. The building that was assigned to him for 4 years, he has said he won't go for security reasons. And he can't say why. And I have an idea now why he's saying it. By chance, I found out. So you have the DPP. You have also the Brent Thomas. You have the Nelson Gate issue. You have the AV drilling when they refuse on the advice of senior counsel to go to court and challenge that decision that was made. I mean, I read the arbitration thing. It simply was such a weak reasoning. Why? And you have a relationship you had to admit with Mr. Bash. Then you have this issue now with the Prime Minister with the Integrity Commission saying that he didn't know his wife is a lawyer. I mean, it's a townhouse, it's not a condominium, it's sitting on land. So and then it's not even that he didn't declare, because it's the fact that he paid much less than the market rate. What did he pay in terms of his when you have to pay stamp duty? Is that a gift? And you're getting that from your prime. And that's the most recent I mean, I could just go on and on and on. The procurement legislation that has been totally emasculated, nothing like what it was intended to do. I mean,
is it also a case?
You know what I can doing now? I can go on and on with examples which do not affect me personally, but affect our country. That I see our country being battered to a point where people have a level of cynicism, which is reflected in the voter turnout in PNM controlled areas in particular. And that is why I, at the end of the day, said enough is enough. I'm going to open that door and get out.
How much of a factor has been in the last 2 generals and in this local government election, the other options available?
But that's why I said what I said. I mean, I certainly don't want to. I don't want to come here and because they're not in government, and if they're not in government, they can't make the decisions. So if they were in government,
I'm talking about in elections specifically, because elections posit options for people to choose if they think that the incumbent is not acting appropriately or is not delivering on services.
All right. So now you have this situation. I can give you, I think with the 2015 elections, I think understandably, and if I were the Prime Minister, which he did, when Nigel, he's a pollster, when he looked at and there was a strong turnout, and I think the PNM did win the popular vote, but when they looked at the 5 top issues in September 2020, when people were dropping down like flies, and people were literally afraid of it. And I think there's no one who does not know someone that is close to them that died or got very ill because of COVID. And the number one issue that, according to the Nigel, the pollster, 65% of the electorate said the number one issue for them was COVID, not the economy and not crime. So if I look at the 2015 elections, I think the Prime Minister was a good politician. I would have done what he did. But what it said is that at that point in time, COVID was what drove a lot of the population to feel we had a strong leader, which he is strong in terms of I don't think I'd go any sea or any river. Like, I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody would play around with Dr. Rowley in that regard. So I think in terms of COVID, it had a strong impact on people, and it reflected in what the polls stated. So crime and economy fell low down. Now that COVID is no longer a consideration, crime, corruption, lack of the state of the economy, the lack of income equality, the fact that it seems that there are persons outside of the parliament, outside of the cabinet, who are controlling this country.
Mr. Tesheira, did you just admit that Dr. Rowley is in fact a strong leader and that he led the country through COVID in an admirable way so that for him to get reelected? Is that what you just said?
No, please don't put words in my
No, I'm as a question I'm asking.
What I did say, and I'm glad you phrased it that way so that I can correct it.
I'm asking a question. It's not how I phrase it, it's what I heard.
Okay.
I heard you say that he is in fact a strong leader.
But I don't have
that he did well during the COVID pandemic, and that was the main issue, and people voted him back into office based on that. Isn't that what you just said?
So what I did say at that time when he called election, being a good politician, I think I said, I don't know if I said he was a good leader. I think I used the word politician, but you have the take. But I think I said he was a good politician. And I said any good politician, which is not the same thing as a good leader. So please do not put those words in my mouth, because I did not say that. To my recollection, I said, as a good politician, he called the election at a time when COVID-19 was the number one concern.
But the election was due. And he didn't call it earlier, it was due.
I said well, when I say he called it, it was called, yes, it was due. I mean, I think there is a period in which one can have some leeway. But the point I'm trying to make, which I did not say that he was a good leader. So do not put those words in my mouth. I said he was a good politician, and as a good politician, he understood that the main concern of the population at the time was COVID-19. And because he came across as being strong as a leader, and a strong leader in the sense of take no prisoners. People were so concerned at that time about the effect of COVID that it inured to his benefit, and that is what I said, and that is what. So
you're saying as a good politician that he did what was best for the country at the point in time.
But Trump is a good politician too. You know many people. A lot of politicians that are good.
Mr. Tesheira, don't go down that road now.
No, but then you don't go down that road.
Don't go down that road now. Are you saying that Dr. Rowley was a good politician at the point in time to make the decision to call an election? Is that what you're saying? Yes or no?
I am not on a court of law. I'm not in a witness box, and I'm not being cross-examined. And I don't appreciate if you want.
Yeah, but we allowed you to go down the road of bringing up, regurgitating all manner of things just now. I didn't interrupt you.
I was asked a question, and the question was, no. Please do not show your bias. Okay, I am saying to you, I don't
have to show my bias. My bias is very obvious. I don't have to show it.
I will listen to you.
I don't have to show it.
Okay,
but you see, Mr. Tesheira,
I'm not outside towards you.
Mr. Tesheira, I have tremendous respect for you, right?
Well, I'm glad
you come across, as do other people. That's why some people in the UNC, I don't listen to them. They come across as bitter, hurt, just ready to lash out because of some personal agenda. I don't know why, but that's how it comes across. And I don't know if you have the benefit of reading some of the comments on YouTube, but that's how it's coming across. That's how it comes across.
Well, let me just say in response to that. Of course, people are going to say something like that. What am I bitter about? What am I bitter about? I mean, what am I bitter about? I've said this before. And
what are you bitter about?
Can I just say this so that I can put to rest the idea of me being bitter? I can tell you that without a shadow of a doubt, I was offered by someone who was in a position, I'm not going to call the name, but they came in my house, sat around in my living room, and offered me to make me a senator. And they had the capacity to do it. And I told them I wanted no part of the PNM because of its association with persons who I felt did not have the best interest of the country. I again met with another person from the PNM with whom I was friendly and I liked very much at the Hyatt. And that person said to me, Karen, what is wrong? Come and join the PNM. I said, listen.
But why would they ask you to join the PNM when you already a member of the PNM?
There's a lot of them inside there right now who felt, who were not in the favor. They all said, mea culpa, and ran to Dr. Rowley. I'm not one of them. Did Dr. Rowley ever say that I came to him and said, oh God, Dr. Rowley, I'm so sorry for what I said about you. Please, can you say, did I ever do that? I have never backed. I have been consistent, and I am not a liar. And I'm telling you, I was offered it, and I said no. So if I was
offered it by somebody who could have made it happen, and it wasn't Dr. Rowley,
absolutely could have made it happen. You know about politics. You think in politics, the prime minister, whoever, will go and tell it to you. He would send someone else.
So you're saying Dr. Rowley sent someone to you?
But I don't know.
That's you?
I said no. Oh my God! I said in politics. Why are you twisting my words? I said politics.
I'm trying to interpret what you just said. Did you say that Dr. Rowley sent someone to you?
I did not. But why are you putting words in my mouth? I did not say that. And stop putting words in my mouth. I said.
So you didn't say that. Okay, fine.
Oh God, you got to stop that. It is not becoming of you,
All right, I'm giving you a chance to go. Mrs. Tesheira, give us a sense of what you see in Hope, what you see in the political party Hope, that you decided this is the vehicle for you at this time.
Thank you. I thank you for that. And, I'm sorry because I do have the same regard for you, but it's just unfortunate that let's
move back on the track now. What is it in Hope as a political vehicle that you see that's attracted you at this time?
What they tag Hope for honest government, but I always say that listen, you can't just have honest government because a lot of political parties that I use Tapia as a good example. I mean, a lot of people like Tapia, a lot of people respected Lloyd Best. Could he ever a seat? Not one, zero. So he's not a good politician. So you have to be a good politician. And I think there are enough people in the Hope right now. I think Timothy Hammersmith, with his gravitas, his knowledge of the law, his commitment, no agenda, very important. I think Steve Alvarez, I don't believe he has an agenda. In matter of fact, I went to a number of meetings to determine whether is this two things. Are they really committed to what they say they are, honest government? Because that is missing, I think, in this country. And secondly, did they have the ability, the capacity to run the country? And those two things are important, because the second one had to do with my concerns that are we going to end up to be a Tapia? Where everybody says, oh, you talk lovely things, we like the philosophy, but can you run a government? Yes, you can. We have people inside in there who have been in cabinet positions. I have been, and just to reflect everyone's memory, NACTA did a poll in 2010, and I got 98% of the constituency over Jack Warner, who got 97%. I got the highest rating. Now, why did I not win the seat? Well, I won't go into that. But what I will say is that as an MP, I had a good record. And if you just read the Court of Appeal decision with the pro-man, the Court of Appeal, not me, the Court of Appeal said, were it not for the MOU signed on the 31st of January, that the deal with pro-man, a global player in methanol, etc., Mr. Dupree could have done what he wanted. So why don't we talk about things? So I know I have a track record. The Financial Institutions Act.
What will make the difference in Hope being able to move, because there's several new political entities on the scene, right, in Trinidad and Tobago. There have been several attempts by several, if I could call them third and fourth and fifth forces, to break the and I'm using this word very liberally, the group the PNM and the UNC has in the country, because they're the most long-standing political entities. They have amassed core bases, both of them, and we with the exception of the COP in 2008 or 2009, we've not been able to see a third party significantly impact the electorate to get them past being a pressure group, if I could use that term.
Yeah, and making great speeches.
Let
me just remind you of
let me just finish. Well, there's the NAR. but that was a long time ago. This country is
Doesn't matter,
significantly
it's still human beings to deal
okay.
with.
But the historical evidence will show that it has not happened often. And while new political parties espouse great ideals, they have not been able to break that hold the PNM and the UNC have on the country. What will give hope the ability to move past a pressure group to a political contender?
Yeah. What will give
so
hope?
You want to say something?
What will give hope?
Okay, so I hope to be able to convince your listeners that hope is not just a pressure group. And you can't be dismissive of the 33 because, in fact, at the end of that election, national elections, it is said that Mr. Pandey never thought that PNM strongholds would ever turn, like Laventille and so on, would ever turn against the PNM. It did happen. It happened. And it happened because people were tired and fed up. So I think we're reaching that point. I have hope that people have that same spirit because we're human beings and we still want all the same things. We want a strong economy. We want the crime is totally out of control. We want all the things that you see. Ecuador just voted, Guatemala just voted, just on those same issues that are now we are beset with. So I think that is it. But the major thing, which is to answer your question, Paul, and it's a fair question to ask, is this another pressure group? Are we going to talk all the nice philosophy? I just said to you that there are members of Hope who have a proven track record. I have one. Whether you like it or not, I do have one. And I am very results oriented. And in the short period I was there, perhaps that's why they came and called and asked me to become a senator. In the short period that I was there, I showed that I was committed to whether it was implementation of legislation, whether it was implementation of the projects to which I was assigned in those 2.5 years, whether as a member of parliament for Davido Mira, in all of the capacities, and other members too. There are other members, so I would prefer that they speak on it rather than I speak for them. But I could say that they have people in there who have cabinet experience, have experience in business, have experience in law, and who have the ability to make the difference and not just be another pressure group. That is why I hope that.
Who are those people, Mrs. Tesheira?
But I don't know if I want to be careful because I am not the interim leader, and I don't want to step out of my crease. I think you asked me about why I joined Hope, and you did say who the interim leader is. I think the other deputy political leader is Louis Leasing, and whatever you say, he's the one that brought talk radio. That's why we're talking right now, because he's the one that brought talk radio first of 102 FM on I-95. Give him the credit for that. Right? Give him the credit for that.
And is that enough for him to run a country?
The teacher do that shows that whatever you may think, he is results oriented and he brings the bacon home. He has a track record.
Does it make it easier or more difficult for Hope, given the advent of other third parties pretty recently, PP, NTA, PDP, etc., in the political space?
I don't think so, because I think the issue, and I don't want to really, my purpose, hopefully, here is I don't really want to go and, be bashing anybody, other party, or talking. I want to talk about why I joined Hope. No, I don't think so. I have my real concern. I mean, if you look at the local government elections as an indicator, yes, Guy Griffith did very well. Nearly 16,000 votes, and he went up in 10 electoral districts. But I'm not here to talk about my concerns about him, so I just don't want to go down that road. So to answer your question, certainly making that decision that I have made, and also let me just say, even in the last national election, I think the PNM won 29-22. Tobago, a day in politics is like that.
29,
2 seats. 29 what?
You said 29-22?
I think that's what it was. No, I got it wrong. But it's 2 days. I did get it wrong because it was a difference of 2 seats. Whatever it was, it's a difference, I think, of 2 seats. Sorry. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Sorry. 19,
22-19.
22-19. Helping me out. There you go. So, yeah. But thank you for correcting that, Ms. Error on my part. But the point I was trying to make is that in relation to Tobago, it is clear that those 2 seats in Tobago are critical for the PNM, I think, Because if they were to lose it, if they were to lose those 2 seats, and Father Augustine, a day in politics is a lifetime, he's called the party Tobago Progressive Party. He's not trying to come to Trinidad, He trying to get his 2 seats in Tobago. I think it behaving like Hannah Robinson, so he knows he's not winning these seats in Trinidad, but he getting them 2 seats, and he knows those 2 seats are very critical to the PNM. That's what he knows. And then if you get other parties like Hope, make sufficient dent that they are able to secure constituency, because you believe in Hope and the message of Hope, and that Hope can do what it says it can do, and can show what this government has not done, is by making promise after promise and budget after budget after budget. How long you waited for the property tax, by the way, which I would take the credit that I had it passed and got the information technology put in place. We had bills to send out. When
Mrs. Shearer, you sure you want to raise that issue of property tax?
But why not?
That started under you, and we got nowhere with it, and 10 to 13 years later, we still languishing out there with it.
And you have to ask yourself why, because I think you have to ask yourself why, because if you look at the Property Tax Act, they have made little or no changes there. What they did is the Valuation Act. I think they're now allowing valuation division now, rather than going to the Board of Inland Revenue to make. So they may not change. The percentages have not changed. The annual rental value, or the way in which you assess the taxes, they have not changed. What has happened is that, for reasons best known to the governments, they have not done what is necessary to bring the legislation. I'm just saying,
that question is also valid to you, because you were the Minister of Finance, and you were in government at the time, and it wasn't done under you. So
this is what I'm telling you. Number one, I'm so glad you said that. Number one, I had Tobago closed down. Number two, we had information systems where, instead of you going to the warden's office, you could go to any region, any government, the equivalent of a warden's office, and would have a computerized system. So even if you are living in San Fernando and you had land in Port of Spain, you didn't have to go to Port of Spain to pay. All that dusty books that you had to go through, a thing of the past. We had bills ready to send out. The Prime Minister called elections. I'm not the leader. I'm not the Prime Minister. But I can tell you for certain, that in April, that's why I tell you I am results driven. I can tell you for certain that we had bills ready to post out to person, and we knew that we hadn't captured all. We knew we hadn't. But what the attitude or the thing was, that when people realized the penalties that they could incur by failing to come forward with regard to their ownership of property, then it take some time, but it would happen, and there would be equity. Land and building taxes. How could you have persons living outside of a municipal corporation paying $10 per acre on land, and then paying 7% on the value of the building, which had not been revalued in over 30, 40, 50, 60 years? That is why in Port of Spain, with the Municipal Corporation Act, although the municipal corporations at 10% was the house rates, or the that you'd have to pay. When is the last time they did a valuation of houses in Port of Spain? Or 1970. So all those people living in Sinclair and Ellerslie Park, the gas to go and pay their tax in that big headbook, it wasn't worth it. It was unfair. It was inequitable. San Fernando had revalued. San Fernando was paying the increased valuation, and nobody knew that because they didn't complain. So they never gave us. I never got a chance, which was sad and unfortunate, for people to see that it was not unfair. It was equitable, and it was.
Am I to assume now that Hope is fully in support of the start back of the property tax? Am I to assume that Hope will be fully in support of it, of the implementation?
I cannot speak for the leader, and I will be out of place to meet the leader. But I'm not speaking as current insurance. You are interviewing me.
So is Mrs. Tesheira in favor of property tax?
This is not okay. So just to be fair to you and fair to your listeners, had you asked me that question 2 weeks ago, I did speaking on a personal capacity. What I know is when you become a member, like if you're a member of the PNM or UNC, you or any organization, and you're not the leader, it is out of place for you to speak.
Well, Mrs. Teshera, you are a member of the PNM.
What I told you, what I showed you,
you spoke out against things in the PNM.
To show you, if you would be willing to hear me, is that I am results focused, and I try to show you that when it came to the property tax, they have made no changes to the way the percent is. None, and that's number one.
So you are going to recommend to Hope that we support this measure?
I did not, I don't like you. You know what I don't like what you're doing, and I think is unfortunate.
Sir, I'm asking questions.
No, you're not. You're trying to twist what I'm saying. I am not going to I am not here to recommend anything to Hope. My statement that I just gave you was I was responding to what Paul asked. He said, "Are you going to be another pressure group?" And my response to that was that I do not think so, because I believe we have people in there who are experienced, who are results oriented. I passed the Financial Institutions Act. I passed the Insurance Amendment Act. I also was responsible for the MOU, which I think, whatever anyone wants to say, where Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, Merrill Lynch, developed nations, Iceland, Spain, Spain, Portugal had to run to the IMF to bail them out. Yeah. We have no running in that. So I have a proven track record, and that's what I think to who.
And okay, you have a proven track record, but you went on to say that you were taking credit for the startup of the
why do you put words in my mouth? I can't remember. Did I? I don't know if I said it would.
Yes, you said that. You said that. I used the words, and an election was called, so you won't. But you were all ready to do it, didn't you say that?
That I was all ready to do what?
You were ready to roll out the property tax, but an election was called, which you had no control over.
Absolutely. And you know why? And to let me respond to why I felt strongly about it, because that axi tax thing with Margaret Thatcher, with the property tax, had no bearing with on what we were doing. And by the way, all those who criticize it have all said we should pay property tax. Everybody agrees that the new local government act actually makes provision for the collection of property tax, but to go into a statutory fund called the corporation fund.
You have to convince me.
Nobody has any problem with the property tax.
I have no problem with it. I have no problem with it.
Well, right. So my issue was from as a minister responsible for that. My issue was that it was so unfortunate that the country never got an opportunity to see how fair and equitable it was.
Agreed.
And that was my concern.
Agreed. So my question again is based on Mrs. Karen Nunez-Tesheira, who is result oriented and who started this issue of the property tax. Will Hope be in support of property tax implementation?
And what I can just say to you, it would be out of place. I just imagine if I were a member of the PNM and Dr. Rowley and I cannot speak on behalf of Hope. That is not for my place. I answer the question in the context of why do you feel Hope can make a difference? And I was giving you examples of why I felt the Financial Institutions Act was the act that had Clico and Self Financial in a tizzy, because now they had to file consolidated accounts, which the central bank governor was pressing me to make sure that we pass that, because then you could see and get a better picture of how CL, which is a family-owned company, was really operating, because so much information was he was not privy to. And we had a 3/5 majority, which helped a lot, of course. The Central Bank Amendment Act, the Insurance Amendment Act, which said now that they had to send quarterly returns, and also gave the insurance company, the Inspector of Financial Institutions, the right to enter into insurance companies, to inspect their books, their accounts, their records, their minutes, take copies of it. And if they were not allowed to do that, to get an ex parte, which they didn't need them to be there, order from the court, order them to do that. That's what I did when I was minister.
Is that a yes? Is that a yes? Is that a yes or a no to my question? Is that a yes or a no to my question?
I answered you by saying I am not the leader of Hope.
I think we can move on from that now. You've asked the question 3 times and she's answered it 3 times in different ways, saying the same thing. Mrs. Tesheira, in our final moments,
Can I just say, please? You asked a question. The question was, why did I think that Hope would make a difference? And I said, because I think I and Louis Lisi, many of us are results oriented. And I was given an example. But it turned into making me make a statement on behalf of Hope. I cannot do that. That was not what I was asked. And that is not what I answered.
All right. Now, I just want to hear it's going to be an interesting year. The interim leader of Hope, Mr. Thomas Smith, has said Hope will be contesting, all things being equal, the 2025 general election. You've indicated that you think Mr. Augustine, well, he has said he has his eye on the 2 seats in Tobago, which can be king or queen maker, depending on the outcome of the election. And yes, I agree that the PNM needs those 2 seats to tip the balance in terms of the overall election. If Hope is able to attain, because this is going to be monumental, 1 or 2 seats, Hope will have to decide where they're aligning. And the PNM has always stated that they're going it alone. Do you think Hope, in its present iteration, will be able to manage the kinds of issues that arose in 2010 in the People's Partnership with that sort of coalition arrangement?
Well, I think, everything is a learning experience. Certainly, even I think, I don't hold any brief for any of them, but I think even Kamala Possessor, who I think is really my personal view on that, would be, maybe, she looks very frail. I'll just say that. But
what does that mean? What does that mean?
She looks frail. I'm not dealing with age. I'm dealing with, as opposed to the Prime Minister, he looks very virile. That's not the wrong word to use.
What word is that? What word is that, Mr. Tesheira, that you?
That's going to be a mean now, right? You just said that, and somebody's recording this, that Mrs. Tesheira said the Prime Minister looks virile. Going back to the point. Why do you think Mrs. Prasad put in your perception frailty is an issue? Why do you think so?
Yeah. Well, there was a picture speaks 1,000 words, and there was a TikTok thing of Gary Griffith holding on to her hand, and she looked so, like, it just seemed to me, I don't know other people, sorry about other people, it just seemed to me that, that, I mean, she obviously is a person who does not give up, which is a good thing and a bad thing. She's a fighter, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But she just, I don't know. I think maybe part of the problem, the party that, and I'm not speaking for them, certainly not. I think part of the party, their problem really is that so many of the people that, like Kevin Ramnarine, I always use him as a good example. If he were brought in there, maybe it would make a big difference. So, but I'm not there to speak for them, and I'm not aligning myself with anybody. I can't do that. It's not my role. I don't know what will happen.
You're speaking for everybody else except me. You're speaking for everybody else.
In closing, let's just we have to wrap up your closing comments, Mrs. Tesheira.
Well, I'm happy that you asked me to come on and gave me the opportunity to say my reasons for joining the Hope and my reasons for leaving the PNM, which was not easily come by decision, if that's correct English. I hope that, no pun intended, that what I have said, which I believe, I've been clear about my answers, and that it's unfortunate from my opinion, that much of what I've said, certainly some of what I've said has been, I wouldn't say twisted, but not reflective to the answer to the question I was asked. But thank you for asking me to hear. I believe in Hope. It is honest government. That's what this country needs. And they have people in there that have the ability to make a difference in this country.
All right. Well, just a program note. Mrs. Tesheira will be on Power Digital this afternoon at 4:15 with former Planning Minister Dr. Botiwari. So you can look out and join him. Thank you so much, Mrs. Tesheira.
Yes, looking forward. Thank you so much.
What seat will you be contesting for Hope?
Oh my God! What is you stop. You show that petticoat. Your petticoat is almost down by your ankles.
No, I'm asking that, but that's a question
Your
anybody will
petticoat
ask.
is the level of. Can I just say, when you look back at this thing, it's not only how you answer, which people could say, well, I answer in a very rapid fire way. I will agree with that, but my respectful opinion, and it is a respectful opinion, you have come across, Paul sees whatever his personal views are. He comes across very much more professional. You see, if you have an axe to grind and
you saying I'm unprofessional, Mr. Shera?
Unfortunate. Huh?
Are you saying I'm
you
being
see what you're saying?
unprofessional?
I said Paul comes across a professional, and I told you your petticoat is down by your ankles. I said that.
Mr. Shera, I'm a member of the People's National Movement. Up until the other day, I was an elected official.
And that is so clear. That is very
clear. My question is,
unfortunate you're allowing that.
Mr. Shera, I asked an honest question. What seat are you thinking of contesting for Hope?
I haven't gone that far. I'm not for me. I am not, something, to be a good leader in any capacity, whatever capacity.
But you want to lead the Hope? You want to lead Hope?
No, not leading Hope. I said in any leadership position, whether it is as an MP or whether it is a CEO of a company, whatever it is, or whether it's a household, the head of a household, whatever it is, you have got to be a good follower, because a lot of people who like to lead, they do not like to follow. Mm-hmm. That's a sad reality. So I want to be a good follower so that I maintain. I think that's important in whatever role is assigned.
So you can prepare to be a good leader. Isn't that what you?
No. My God, you see, I can't. I did not
say that. When they're saying we are all the time at Mandela being a very good
Have a great day and try better. Try better. You didn't come across very well, I have to tell you. Anybody who's being independent in their thought will say, oh God, I mean, what happened to him? You have an axe to grind, what happened to him? What happened to the PNM? At what point in time you weren't too happy with them, And not one point in time you weren't too happy with them. And not one point in time you weren't too happy with them. Maybe happy with them now.
I'm still not too happy with everything the PNM
Let me put you next to them, though.
At one point in time you weren't happy with them. Now you look like you're red. I wonder why.
You know what I'll do? Here's what I'll do. I'll leave both of you by yourself.
Go on.
I'll leave both of you by yourself.
I still love you.
Of course I do.
Okay, take care. All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Karen Nunez-Tesheira, for being with us this morning.